So you have a whole variety of different ways of aligning things up. Color's a nice way. In addition, there is some reading. This is a nice video. The guy talks about working at Wired Magazine and why and how they follow a standard. So this is a very good, if you can watch this video when you have some time. Hold on.
Quora TV. The world is thinking.
There are three things that really drive the overriding principles of how the Wired design works and how we articulate.
So they follow a design standard. This guy kind of talks about the Wired standard and how they follow a kind of standard design.
Review everything that we do, and so I'm going to take you guys through.
So it's kind of interesting video if you got time to watch that. It's interesting to see because Wired magazine when it first came out in the mid '90s was kind of a revolutionary kind of magazine. As far as design wise, using all the desktop publishing tools. And the big initial letter that they use, and then the colors that they use were very new kind of in the '90s. And someday when they build me a building here on campus, I'll have my own library, and I have every Wired magazine since 1994, almost every one. I'm missing like 3 or 4, so we'll have the whole collection all together. Probably not, but right now they're all in boxes in some kind of storage cabinet somewhere. Here's another kind of video about Wired magazine. Basic.
Can't reinforce the basics enough. A lot of the magazines that I look at almost seem to even have grids.
So that was a kind of where. The other thing we're going to talk about, of course, is the stroke. Here's some, use the logo, maybe a catchphrase. Make sure you have the name, address, and the mailing stuff. Here's some videos about using strokes and different strokes. And then, of course, the font stuff. And then, of course, I have some videos about making backgrounds using the blending mode. And so let's get right into it today as far as the blending mode. There is a certain size, and I don't remember what size it is. What size do you think that is? Is that where's the card at? I used to have the specific dimensions. That looks like what? 5 by 6 by 5? What do you think that looks like? Because we could measure it. Wouldn't that be nice, huh? Old school. 5.5 by 4. 5.5. Here, you can pass them around a little bit, though, if you want. There's some old ones. 5.5. What did I say? 5.5 by 4. Okay, so I'm going to make one for the front. So in the past, before they had multiple artboards, we had to do 2 different documents, one for the front and one for the back. But now they have multiple artboards. We can do front and back in the same document. So again, I'm going to start with a file new, and where it says custom here, we're going to go to custom. I'm going to type in. You can use. I know it says points here, but you could just type in what I just said. 5.5 IN for inch wide. And then, what was the height? 4, I think it said, right? Inch. Now, I know once you say inch, you'll notice it'll convert it to points right here. Do you see that? So if you type in and put the IN there and hit return, or hit tab, not return, it'll actually put it in. If you want to see the inches, you could change the units over here to inches and it'll say the same thing. All I'm trying to say is the program is smart and will calculate whatever units you were trying to do. I'm going to hit OK. So let's make a crazy background. And what I mean by a crazy background is let's look at the blending tool first, how it works, and then we'll use it as to make a cool looking background. So how's the blending tool work? The blending tool is great for 3 things, I would say. First thing is it's great for evenly spacing things. And just watch for a moment. I'm going to quickly demonstrate it. Then we'll do some stuff together. Just quickly watch. So on the Wired magazine card, there's a bunch of dotted lines that kind of go on the back. Or not dotted lines, but rectangles that go across the back. I can quickly go and make a rectangle like that. I can duplicate that rectangle down here. And if I want to put individual rectangles in between, evenly spaced, I can use what's called the blending tool. So to do that, I can quickly go, and don't do it now, just watch for a moment. I can click, this is called the blending mode right here. I can click on one, and then click on the other, and it makes this, and you're like, that doesn't look right. No, it doesn't look right. Exactly. If we click on the middle one, let's try that. And the middle one, there we go. See how it's evenly spaced? Kind of rectangles that go between? And you could change the amount by double clicking on the tool, and where it says specified steps, we can designate, let's say, 5 in between and hit preview. Ah, look at that. See how quick it was to do something like that? To make those rectangles, make them perfectly evenly spaced and make them. So that's one use of the blending tool. Okay, that's one use, and that's pretty much what we're going to be doing in class today. The other use of the blending tool, of course, is to give you a different look. Like, I think I demonstrated this already, whereas if you wanted to do a kind of a different blend, like a different gradient, what I mean by that is if I wanted to have a certain feel, like in the old days, back in the 90s, we didn't have the gradient tool. So in order to make a kind of a gradient, what we had to do was, I'm going to do a circle. I'm going to make a ball right now. I'm going to make a ball. So if I was going to make a ball back in the 90s, I would make one circle like that. Then I would do another circle like that, maybe change the color of that one. And then what I would do is, using the blending tool, I would then select and make a gradient like that. Okay, and in not necessarily smooth blend, what I would do is maybe specify certain steps. Hold on, and let's do 35 maybe. Let's see what that looks like. That's even too much. Let's do 15. So if I zoom in and look, you get these kind of stair-stepping. If you zoom in, you can kind of see it. See where it has nice kind of one circle, one circle, one circle, one circle, and you get this kind of stair-stepping like that. Okay, very interesting kind of way of doing it, and it has a specific look about it. So that was another use of the blending tool like that. Okay, and then you can actually move the actual circle around here. If you use the white one, I guess, the white direct selection tool, you can move it around. And then you can use it to even do cone-shaped things like this. Things like that. In addition, you can actually use it to morph something. So let's say you wanted to, let me delete this. Let's say you want, ooh, look at that. There we go. So let's say you wanted to morph a rectangle into a circle, or a triangle. Let's do a triangle. Well, that's not a triangle. Let's do a triangle into a circle. So I could put a triangle in one spot, and then put a circle in another spot. And we could give it even a different color if we want. There we go. And you wanted to make a shape that's like in between a triangle and a circle. You can use the blending mode to do that. I could click on the blending mode. How the blending mode works is you click on the points along the edge of the object. So if I click along the points of the edge of an object and I click along a point of another object, it'll give you the blend in between. Now this is, again, it's doing a smooth blend. If I double click on the tool itself, I can specify steps, and I'm going to specify maybe 3 or 2 even. And you'll see, there we go. So what it does is it'll blend one object to the other object. So you'll see that this purple one is kind of like a partial triangle, circle. This is more of a circle, and then a circle. And once you've done that and you want to break it apart, you can actually break apart your object by going under Object Expand. By going under Object Expand, it'll actually take these and make them individual objects so that you can mess with them. So if you wanted to make a, oops, you might need ungroup too. Ungroup, expand and ungroup. And you want this kind of shape right here. Look at this shape. This shape is like kind of in between a triangle. This is kind of in between a triangle and circle. See that? So that's another use of the blending mode. Okay, so let's try. You guys ready to try? Let's try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cool background for my Wired magazine cover by using a line. Okay, so I'm going to go like this. I'm going to have a nice kind of light line that goes across like this. Then I have a kind of a dark line that goes along like that. And I'm going to blend from this one to this one, and then this one to this one. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. What would that do? Well, I'm going to have individual lines that go along like this that are going to have different colors. And then I'm going to have the same one go across like this one. So you're going to have kind of not using the gradient tool, because the gradient tool tends to make it smooth. I want to have that blocky look that you saw in the circle example that I just did, right? Because I want to see these colors. I want to see a square. I want to see a square. I want to see a square. And so you can, it's great for making that kind of pattern. Kind of look at the, even making patterns. The blending mode is great for making a pattern kind of thing. So here's how I make backgrounds sometimes. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see my object. And I'm going to use a rectangle that has no stroke. The blending mode doesn't work good with a stroke. So I'm just going to make a rectangle tool with no stroke. And I'm going to kind of, don't worry about size right now. I'm going to kind of drag it across a nice kind of small rectangle like that. Kind of a small, thin rectangle. Just make one small, thin rectangle. Then I'm going to rotate it so it's on an angle. Rotate it, and then I'm going to move it kind of like what I drew on the board there. Kind of maybe rotate it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Kind of just so it's big enough to cover the entire thing. There we go. Maybe a little thicker. There we go. Then I'm going to duplicate this and put it over here. Maybe move this down a little bit more. There we go, something like that. Then I'm going to change the color. Again, this one's going to be a light color in here. This is going to be light, so I'm going to kind of make this a kind of bright color. There we go. So again, I have one rectangle that has been rotated, and I duplicated it and made another rectangle over here. So I have two rectangles like this. Two rectangles. So what I want to do is I'm going to use the blending mode, and when you use the blending mode, there's three options inside the blending mode. One is smooth. It makes a smooth blend from one color to the other. The other one is steps. Okay, to specify the steps. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify some steps so you can still see the rectangles. You can still see the rectangles. So it gives it kind of a stair-stepping kind of look. So how do I do that? I'm going to zoom in just a hair here a little bit, and I'm going to select both objects by using the Shift key to select both of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the blending mode. Don't worry about the steps quite yet. You can actually blend it first, then specify the steps after you use the blending tool. So again, I have two rectangles, two different colors, kind of on an angle like that. And I'm going to use the blending mode, this one right here called blending mode. And I'm going to click on the dot, a corner point on the same side. If you click on corner points on opposite side, it thinks you want to rotate and spin. So depending upon how you click on it, it may depend upon what it looks like. I'll show you what I mean. If I click on this one and then click on this one, it'll give me kind of it's a smooth look. Again, it's a smooth look. I can then double click on the tool itself over here in the toolbar. Double click on the tool itself in the toolbar, and instead of using smooth color, I can specify steps. And I'm going to specify maybe 20 and then hit preview and see what it looks like. Oh, that's not quite enough. I'm going to say 25 and hit preview or tab on the keyboard. That's what I want. Okay, what am I looking to do here? Again, how did I get to this option? I double clicked on the tool in the toolbar after I did the blending mode. Double clicked here. Then I changed to specify steps. Then I changed it to a certain amount that you can still see the lines in there. So if I look closely at it, you see I get this kind of nice kind of rectangles going across. See that? And then I'm going to do the same thing again. Watch how I'm going to do the same thing in the opposite direction over here, where I'm going to use the white selection tool, the white direct selection tool. I'm going to select my purple one on the end, the purple one on the end, and I'm going to then duplicate that using the black arrow over here. So duplicate again. Ah! Look at that. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do, oh, that thinks I want to do it again, don't I? How about if I copy and paste that? There we go. Copy and paste. There you go. Cheating. So again, I use the white selection tool, the direct selection tool. Select my end purple one here, my end purple one. I copied it and pasted it and then moved it over here. And then I'm going to do my blending mode again from my white one to this one. Again, do the blending mode again from the white one to that one. Using the blending tool, click on the ends, and it should give you pretty much the same stair steps. So using the blending mode twice, I can make a background that looks like this, which would be very hard to do this look if I tried to do it with any other technique. And of course, it doesn't quite look right because it's taking over the whole thing. So what I need to do is crop out all the stuff on the outside. Crop out all the stuff on the outside. How you crop out all the stuff on the outside is by using the clipping mask. The clipping mask. The clipping mask can be used by using a rectangle. And I'm going to draw a rectangle over my entire work area. Draw a rectangle over my entire work area. Once I'm done doing that, I can select everything by using Command A on the keyboard, and then say clipping mask by using Object, clipping mask, make, and then that's sort of what my background would be to my object. Again, the clipping mask is a way to crop out all the stuff that's on the outside. To do that, I used a rectangle. I drew it over the entire work area and went under Object, Clipping Mask, Make, and what it does is crop out everything that's outside the triangle. And look at that. That's a cool looking background, very quickly made, that can be adjusted too if you want. You can actually adjust that background and stuff like that even after you've made it. You can alter it. Yes?
Is there a way to do this?
Again, I'm going to lock this layer so that I don't even have to mess with it anymore. It's done. Messed with it. I'm going to make a new layer. So again, this is my background. I'm going to leave it like it is. Let's talk about dash strokes. Dash strokes. So if I'm using the rectangle tool, I'm going to have a rectangle that goes around my wired card. To do that, I'm going to make a stroke. I'm going to make it a little thicker, like a 4 or 5 before I even start. But before I draw it, you'll notice it says uniform right here. Oh, not uniform, I'm sorry. We want to go to the stroke options. Window, stroke options. Where is it? Stroke, there we go. It's got to be here somewhere. Window, stroke. I don't know where it's going, it's popping up somewhere. Window, stroke. Here it is. So the stroke options, again, I'm going to make a dash line. If you look at some of the Wired magazine cards, there's a lot of dash lines that go around, okay? So to make a dash line that goes around the outside of my card, I'm going to use the stroke option and a rectangle stroke option. And if you're in the stroke options in the upper right corner, you'll notice there's show options. Again, and there's stroke option. There's always a little bit more options, and I don't know why they hide them. But there's hidden options, and they're in the upper right corner here. And I say show options. You'll see there's a whole bunch of options underneath there for your stroke. In the stroke, you can do a dash line. That's what I'm going to do. And what the dash line is it's going to make a dotted line. Dotted line. And so you don't have to adjust this right now. You can draw your box first and then come back here and adjust it later. So to do that, I'm going to come over here to the upper left corner and I'm just going to draw a rectangle. Again, I'm using a rectangle with no fill, but with a stroke, and I'm going to use black for now so we can see it. Again, no fill, but a stroke, and I'm just going to draw a box for a dashed line that goes around the outside here. And so you can see this is kind of the card. If you look at any of the cards I was passing around, they have a lot of dashes like that. And once you've altered your dashes, you can adjust the way that the corners work. One of the problems with the early versions of Illustrator is the corners were always messed up. Because if you zoom in, you'll notice that the corner for this one has no object there. If you look, there's no object there. And then if you come over to this corner, you'll see, oh, there's part of an object there. So it doesn't quite look right. So what they introduced inside of Illustrator CS5 maybe, or CS4, they introduced this option in the stroke option, which makes the corners all the same. It's this checkbox right here. See it right here? And I have a diagram on Angel for this week that shows you that. Okay, so what I'm showing you right now is on Angel. There's a diagram, and you can click on it right here. And what that does is it adjusts the corners so that they all look the same. Okay, they introduced that, like I said, in probably CS4 or CS3 because it was a common problem. With this option right here, the corners are never the same. Okay, so now I got a nice dash that goes around with perfect corners. Did you see that option? Everybody find stroke and show options? Stroke with more options? Did you see it? Yes? Okay. I can move on. You can go and adjust the spacing here if you want by using the gap. If you want smaller spaces, less gap. Bigger spaces, more gap. I also can use it for arrowheads and things like that if you're making a diagram and stuff like that. I haven't really showed you that. But again, if you want less spaces, you can go, let's say 9. Hit tab on the keyboard and it'll adjust it. And so on. Okay, let's make the Wired magazine logo. Now the logo can be any kind of ways. They make the logo is crazy. The Wired magazine logo is always kind of crazy. Just look online. If you look online, you'll see and go to Google. And just go and search. Oof. Usually it's like this with a reversed W-I-R-E-D, but you can use all kinds of different colors. They use different colors. I've seen blends. Look at this background right here. Different colors. And so you can do different things. I don't know why it's not showing me so many. There's a lot of other ones in here. Look at this one. Sometimes they have the graphic come through. In fact, we wanted to download a graphic, didn't we? We wanted to download a picture of there. Yeah. So you might want to go and steal one of those. While I'm here, I'm going to steal this one. I'm going to steal this one. So there's a variety of ways of doing it. Okay, sometimes there's cutouts and things like that. So let's look at how to do that. Again, if you want to not mess with this thing, you can lock it if you want. Well, you don't have to lock it here. You can lock just the rectangle itself and keep working in that layer if you want. So, if you don't want to mess with things or have things cause you problems, the easiest way to deal with it is to lock it like that. Okay, so let's type in our Wired magazine text, W-I-R-E-D, right? And then it's usually a very blocky font. If you looked at the font that they use, it's blocky. I'm sure there's probably a specific font that you could probably download, but it's kind of a blocky. I'm going to use there's one in here that has that kind of blocky look. That's not quite it. Which one has the blocky look? The square serifs. Something with a square serif. Somewhat. Square serif. No. I guess I'd probably have to go to DA font and find one if I wanted it to be. There's not really anything here with a square serif. That's pretty ugly. No. Century School Book? Yeah, that's what I'm going to use. I'm using Century School Book. It kind of has a square serif. Not quite, but there we go. So in order to do the effect, I'm just going to split the font apart. Split the font apart. So if you typed in some text all in one big long line like that, what I really want to do is split it so that they're individual objects. Individual objects. To do that, you can actually convert your text either to outlines, or you can convert it to area type. Convert to area type. What does that do? No, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to convert outlines. There we go. So that makes them into objects, right? Makes them into objects. So once they're objects, I can spread them out a little bit using the white. Oh, don't do that. Convert them into objects and then ungroup. So I did, again, type, create outlines, and then I'm going to go under object and ungroup so it sees them as individual. And then I'm going to do my effect. I'm going to make a rectangle. I'm going to make a rectangle around them. Give that a color. Move it backwards. Change my font to white. Here we go. So for my other ones, and of course I have an eye. And for the eye, I'm going to use a white font with a blue. I'm going to use the same blue that I used right here. I'm going to use that blue. And what is that? 4448 ECC. 448 ECC. 448 ECC. Whoosh. And then I'm going to stroke that pretty big. There we go. That's too big. And then as far as the text is concerned, I might go and use the same size rectangle. So stuff looks kind of similar. So I'm going to use the same size rectangle for the R. There we go. So using the same size rectangle, don't worry about it, have it centered in there. And then this, I don't like that, this eye being so big. Make it smaller. Should be the same as the other ones. There we go. So for this one, I'm going to use the eyedropper and suck up the effect on this one to apply to that one. And then the last one, again, the same size rectangle. Oops. Same size rectangle. I'm going to duplicate it over here. and make that. So you can be very creative in making the title. Whatever you want to do. There's all kinds of different looks that they have as far as title. So then I'm going to do a kind of a phrase that goes along with my card here. I'm going to do a little phrase. And of course, their phrase is you get 12 issues for $10. 12 issues for $10. So I'm going to type in 12 issues. And let's make that a little bit white. Or yeah, let's make it white. And let's do bold, bigger. Whoosh, not that big. "12 issues." And they like to exaggerate things. And so maybe even make this bigger. If you look, I don't like that. There we go. Lowercase is better. And then, of course, duplicate that. Where's the dollar sign? Oh. No, we don't need that. We'll just say $10. There we go. So give yourself a phrase. There's a variety of different phrases that they have. I got 12 issues for $10. And so then let's look at our card. What else is on the card? We have our logo. We have a background. We have my dash line there. Who has one of the cards? What is on the front? The cards back here. You got a card. What does it say? Where? Oh, they got special savings. Oh, that's right. We need to download a graphic of one of them. This one has a. Oh, and you get a free watch. Is it a free iWatch? This is the latest one. This is the one that just came with my latest magazine, so you might want to get a watch. Sign up today. 6 issues for $10.99 went up. Probably about 10 years ago, I signed up for like a 12-year plan, and it was like $10 for 12 issues, and I think I paid $50, so it was like 5 years. I don't know. Well, I don't know. It was cheaper back then, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it doesn't matter what it says. So I might place the cover image on there. This one's always good. So a sample of the of the graphic on there. Oh God, it has a blend on it. I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to go to the internet and find a sample. I'm going to go to the internet and find a sample. Here we go. Wired magazine. How about that? I don't know about this. There we go. Why? This one looks like it'll go well. So I'm going to find a cover that kind of matches my design, and then I'm going to put it in there. So now for them to fill out their name, address, and phone number, or whatever you want that's on here, I'm going to use a box. And so I'm going to type in special savings. Save? S-A-V. S-A-V. Savings. And so, in order to put the name, address, phone number stuff that they have in there, I'm going to use a box, a rectangle, to put it in. I kind of line it up with the edge here. And instead of it being black, I'm going to make it white. And then instead of it being solid, I might give it just a little opacity using the transparency option. Transparency. So the background does come through, but it's not so harsh. And then I will go and let me lock all this stuff so I don't start messing with it. I'm going to lock all this stuff. There we go. Oops. Lock it all. And so I'm going to put in what they need to fill out. Of course, their name, address, city, and email. And so there's 4 lines. There's 4 lines. There's 4 lines. So I'm going to put them in using the line tool, line segment tool. Again, the line segment tool is going to use a stroke color. And so I'm going to put in a line. Maybe make it a little thicker so you can see it. So there's my line. I exaggerated a little bit. And then, of course, you can duplicate that. Duplicate it. And then duplicate it again. There we go. Maybe move it up a little bit. Okay, now that I've duplicated the line, the problem you run into is when I duplicated it, this is a little bit more space than it is between here and here. So really what I wanted to talk to you today about was the alignment features inside of Illustrator. And so think about it. You have some lines going across. They're not evenly spaced. Okay, they're not evenly spaced. So the evenly spaced things, in Illustrator, we use the alignment feature. The alignment feature is located underneath the alignment pop-up window. Window align. And then if I could find it, oh, here it is. It's jammed down here. Here it is. So the alignment feature is probably the greatest thing ever. And they also have it inside of Photoshop, as we saw in the morning class. Of course, the alignment works great because you can do left align, center align, right align. Well, these are all lined exactly to the left because when I duplicated them, I held down the Shift key. But they're not evenly distributed. So if you want to evenly space the lines out, there's one that says Distribute Objects right here. So the first thing you need to do is select all the lines you want. So I'm going to select them all, select them all, select them all. Select all the lines using the Shift key. And then to evenly distribute them, I'm going to evenly distribute them vertically. So if I click on that, you'll notice it'll then put even space between each one. Even space between each one. In doing so, then I can then go and type in my text. Again, it's called Align. You have alignment for your objects, as well as evenly distribute them. I use this all the time. They introduced these features into Illustrator. I don't know, probably CS1, I think. That helped a lot. And then I'm going to type in, of course, some text. And of course, they're going to put in their name. And of course, you don't want it to be that big. If you don't have if you got too much space in there, name, and then they have like this little text that says please print. Please print, like that. And this is too close. I'm going to move this down a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to do again evenly distribute. There we go. And then I'm going to duplicate these. This one. Duplicate this. Address. 2 Ds. And I'm going to duplicate this again. And this is going to say city. And if I duplicate it across, it's going to say state. Then I want to make sure that this text up here and this text here are perfectly aligned, so I can select both of them and say left align. Makes it perfectly there. See that? With the alignment feature. And then state and zip. And then email. Email. All capital letters. Email. Then of course they have the very final pieces, which would be a little checkbox. This is tablet, 12 issues for, what was it, $10.99? Or no, $10? $10. So I'm going to do a little box right here. Little box. Maybe give that a color. No, I'll leave it black and white. What did I say it would be? 12 issues for $10. Here we go. So again, all these different alignment features, and then I guess we could have a free gift down here if you want. Don't know. But look at that. Within a few moments, you could make yourself a Wired magazine subscription card. And again, the most important thing is duplicating things very easily using the option click and drag, aligning things, evenly distributing them, using the dashed line that goes around the outside, using the blending mode to blend the background together. Is that the greatest cover or what? If you're having problems with your alignment, it might still be, because we did this before, in the alignment pop-up menu here, under show options, there's a align to, and if you say align to artboard, it's going to try and do whatever you want to the artboard and not to the objects you have selected. So if it's not working the way that you think it should be working, this might be the option that is turned on. And that happened to me already today, because that's what we had when we were doing the icon. My Wired magazine is I'm going to use a different artboard, because right now we have one that's front. Okay, I'm going to make a back cover. To make the back cover, I'm going to go to the artboard tool, and I'm going to duplicate it by saying new artboard right here. See how there's like a little artboard? It's like a little, I don't know. I have the artboard tool selected, and there's like a little page peel next to a trash can up here. Do you see it? And if you click on that, it should make a new artboard. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Same size as the first one. So I'm not dragging with the artboard tool. I'm not dragging, and you can put it to the left or to the right or to the bottom. Again, using the artboard tool right here, I go up here next to, there's like a little trash can up here. Next to the trash can it says new artboard. I clicked on that, and when you click on that, it should make an artboard that is the same size as the first one you made. That way they're both the same size, right? Okay, and so you can keep on making more and more artboards. If you don't want that, you can undo. So I wanted a different artboard. Okay, so for the back of my Wired magazine, it's pretty simple looking. Pretty simple. It's just white. Okay, but there's these different lines, and so we're going to use our blending mode. Remember we talked about our blending mode? We're going to make the blending mode to do the little rectangles on the back. You see them on the right side, I guess. And that says no postage necessary if mailed in the United States and stuff like that. So here we go. Here we go. So on the back, of course, there's a rectangle. I'm going to start in the upper corner here, and I'm going to make a rectangle right here. And it's going to be white fill. Stroke this a little thicker. Maybe even a little thicker than that. And then, of course, there's text that says no postage necessary if mailed in the United States. So I'm going to use the text tool here. And I'm going to click. And, of course, I'm going to use center aligned before I type in my text. Center aligned. So everything lines in the center. It says no postage if necessary. Oh, put caps lock on. Oh, my caps lock doesn't work. I don't know why. Whoosh. Is there a caps lock? No, it doesn't work. Whoosh. There it goes. Necessary. Oh. Necessar. Necessary. Whoosh. Necessary. If mailed in the United States. There we go. So, most things have something like that in there, right? On the back of the card. So, I put in, that's on the upper corner, upper right corner there. Then, of course, if you look on it, you'll see they have a whole bunch of dashed rectangles. I don't know what they're for. Does anybody know what these dashed rectangles are for on the thing? What are they for?
They're so that the BRM reader can read them, can recognize it as a BRM, a business reply mail.
Okay. There's a good answer. Business reply mail, and the computer can recognize it. Is that what you're saying?
There are rules about spacing and other stuff.
I don't know what they are, but I'm sure it's very important. I'm sure you...
If you need to do a BRM, the post office has all the directions.
I'm sure they give you all the directions at the post office. Thank you. I'm going to fake it, though, with my blending tool. Remember that? So how many do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 rectangles that go down. So again, I'm going to probably make them so that they're... So I'm going to use 10 rectangles. So I'm going to make one rectangle. I'm going to duplicate that one. And then I'm going to select both of them and use my blending mode. And we already have 2, so I'm going to do 8 steps, right? 8 steps. 8 in between. If you want 10, there's 2 already made. We're going to do 8. So again, using your blending mode, I'm going to click on one. You can just click on the center if you want. Click on one. Click on the other. And again, after you do that, you can double click on the tool. Go to where it says specified steps, and I'm going to type in 8. And I hit preview. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Imagine having to duplicate all those all at once. Look at that. We just did that in a perfect, evenly, look at that. Perfectly even. This looks a little big. That's okay. We're exaggerating. But doing something like this, very easy to do with the blending mode. It'll save you lots of time. Lots of time. As you use Illustrator, you'll learn to be efficient at it, doing things. Illustrator is a very efficient program. You can do things very quickly, like that. Okay, then it has business reply here in the middle. It has a big box. It says business reply mail. And first class mail permit, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So again, I'm going to do another rectangle. Align it somewhere here. And it has business reply. Oops. Reply mail. Oh, and this time I'm going to do left align and maybe make this bigger, of course. Oops. Maybe exaggerate this a little bit. Maybe change the font. I'm gonna get sick of this ugly font. School book. Probably has to be Arial or something like that. There you go. That looks like the standard font you would see at the post office. Bold, ugly, bold, plain. And then, of course, they have something that says first class. First class mail permit number 107. Booney AI for, I guess, Booney? Oh, that's Noonie. Booney. Boone? Boone, I guess, what's IA? Iowa. Iowa? Not Indiana? There we go. There we go. So that's on the back. And then it says postage paid by whatever. Postage will be paid by addressee. Ooh. Then, of course, it has the Wired magazine. Again, it has a logo in there, but it's kind of plain. So I have to do that again, the whole Wired magazine logo again. This one's in black and white, though. So they have their kind of logo look on the back here. Maybe I'll spread that out. And we have what, a rectangle here. And then this letter needs to be white. This letter needs to be white. And then this letter needs to be white. Okay, so a little tight. Little tight. Probably make this, spread this out even more. There we go. Let's move my rectangles around a little bit. If you're having problems selecting something, like I want to select the rectangle that's actually underneath the R here, and I'm having problems selecting it because it's underneath, you can hold down the Option key on the keyboard, or not Option, Command key maybe. No. There's a way to select things that are underneath. No. There's got to be a way. Control. No. Maybe because it's a font. No. There's a key to hold down to do that. How about we just move it out of the way for right now? How about that? Cheat a little bit, move it down there. Use the arrow key on the keyboard there. Arrow key on the keyboard. And let's move it back up. There we go. And then they have a P.O. box here. I'm going to duplicate this. P.O. box 37706 Boone BOONEIA 50037-2706. Look at that. Then there's a bunch of little dashed lines along the bottom. I don't know what they're for. But we could fake those dashed lines along the bottom by making a pattern. That's what I would do. I'm gonna make a pattern down at the bottom there. Kind of make a pattern. There's some dashed lines along the bottom. So, dashed lines along the bottom that look like that. Easiest way to do that all the way across the bottom. Select that. Let's make it into a pattern. Oh God, they don't have the pattern tool anymore, do they? You have to go into what? The pop-up menu now. They really messed up using the pattern. So I'm gonna make a pattern. And I know it goes into the stupid pattern making tool now. I'm gonna go back to none. And then what I'm gonna do is let me move this out of the way for right now. Move this out of the way for right now. And then so if I want, I can make a line that goes across the bottom that has my pattern in it. Make the line thicker. Can I make a pattern in my line? Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. Pattern in there. There's the pattern. How do I switch it? Switch. There we go. Whoosh, too big. Too small. That's about right. There we go. I don't know, you might have seen that before, little dashed lines that go along the bottom there. I don't know. Whoosh. No, definitely not like that. No. There we go. That looks good. It's still not quite right. But again, there we go. That looks pretty better. So again, how to make little dotted lines that go along, something like that. Very easily make something like this, turn it into a pattern, and then take and put the pattern along the line. You know, kind of an efficient tool like using the blending tool.